PC components maintaining low temperatures and high clock speeds is important, at least to us enthusiasts. So wouldn't it be good to know these statistics even when gaming? Many of you probably know how to monitor your temps, CPU usage, memory, etc. in games, but for those of you who don't, I'm going to show you how it's done. And maybe some people who already know will pick up some tricks along the way. Basically, there are a few methods to do it. The most thorough would be via hardware info, which we are discussing today, but you can also use MSI Afterburner, EVGA Precision, and for AMD graphics cards, even monitoring in the AMD driver. We are going to worry about HWinfo though. For this to work, you need HWinfo obviously, link in the description, and the RTSS or Riva Tuner statistics server for the on-screen display to work. In HWinfo, you just go into the settings and then select the OSD tab. There you will find a lot of different infos that you can select for monitoring. For example, you can see the CPU voltage, CPU clock speed, CPU usage, core temperature, distance to TJ max, which is the number of degrees until the core will throttle. Then there are also different aspects under which the CPU will throttle, so for example power limit, temperature limit, and so on. So you can really eliminate or find out what the problem is, or why your CPU is throttling down, or why it is maybe not hitting its full potential. Obviously you also have some basic functions as like memory usage and stuff, or some different monitoring options for your motherboard, for example, where it can show different statistics like VRM temperature, which also is very important, especially when you have problems that your game is stuttering, which can be a sign that your CPU is throttling heavily. And if temps and everything looks good, that could be a cause of the VRM overheating and going above like 100 degrees, 110 degrees even, depending on the main motherboard. So you might be able to spot some issues there. And obviously you have GPU monitoring. You can monitor the same parameters as in your CPU, so temperatures, clock speeds, voltages, power consumption, and something very important in my opinion is the VRAM usage. So how much video memory is used, because nowadays a lot of games use a lot of video memory, and sometimes this is the problem why the games are stuttering. And you only might find out about this during gaming when you look at the VRAM usage. So this might be useful if you encounter any problems. Obviously there are a lot more informations you can look at, but those are just the main ones. Now for the lower part of this window, you can obviously select what you want to show, and I would always suggest to show the label also, so you know what component or what exactly this value is showing you. You can also select the row and column where each value is shown. But the issue I have with HWinfo is that although there are lots of options for monitoring different stuff, it's kind of complicated and convoluted to program all these things to be shown up correctly in the OSD in general. This is why I'm going to show you a quick way to set up everything much easier within MSI Afterburner. For that, we are going to download MSI Afterburner and go into the settings menu. On there, under the monitoring tab, we can set everything for the on-screen display as well, similar to the way we would do it in HWinfo. But MSI Afterburner is better in sorting it generally than in HWinfo, so you already get a much cleaner look and you can decipher which value goes to what component much easier. And also you can rename the brackets and the components to the ones you want, so the hardware you have actually in your PC, which makes it actually a lot easier to see which hardware is using or is at what temperature. For example, if you have, well, multiple CPUs, probably not really, and multiple GPUs is always also kind of a thing of the past. But for example, if you're using a laptop and you have a dedicated GPU and an integrated GPU, you would know at a glance which one to look at. if you have selected both ones for monitoring, for example. And we're going to move on to RTSS and going to show you what you need to select here. First, you can set your application detection level. I would suggest high because that improves compatibility between different applications and games. Obviously, if you encounter problems, you can turn it back down to medium or low. You'd have to just try that around. Same goes for viewport or frame buffer. Those also can depend on game compatibility, although the viewport setting should work on most games. As for the rendering method, I would suggest always using raster 3D because sometimes some games may have problems with the vector 3D, so I would just suggest this. Display fill is just a half transparent background. I would use this to increase readability. You can also select color and size as well as the position on the screen. And that's basically it. You don't need to set anything else for the on-screen display. HWinfo also would have the possibility to alarm you if any values reach a certain point. And it is possible to send stats to your phone, although this is very fiddly and does not work reliably. Therefore, I would not recommend it. If you like this video and want to see more guides revolving hardware, tuning, overclocking, etc., let me know in the comments. And as always, I wish you a nice day. Goodbye.